Hey, I go by Panda. I've been sitting up in a giant hemlock at Kaikus for 9 days now, and I just got pulled out this morning. It's been a powerful 9 days as I've watched my friends getting arrested and getting pulled out, and we watched trees getting cut all around us, and harassment and all kinds of stressful things going on. So this morning we were awakened by RCMP helicopters flying around, and they brought in a big military helicopter, and they dropped two climbers into our trees. And first they arrested Keys, and then they came for me and my tree, and I saw them coming, so I climbed up all the way to the top and I took off my harness, and I thought that might deter them, but they seemed pretty determined, and they kept on coming. And I just recall, like, the tree was like 4 inches in diameter. It was pretty tiny. I was just like holding on, and the helicopter was flying in, and the tree was like waving back and forth, and I was just holding on like for dear life. And these two big guys like dropped in and anchored onto the tree, and I was like even more scared because this tiny tree is now holding 3 people, and the helicopter is shaking it, and I don't have a harness on. And anyway, yeah, they continued, and they put on a harness on me, a makeshift harness. They strapped me to them. They threatened me as well. They said if I resisted, they would sedate me, which I don't know what they meant by that, but there was definitely threats involved. And then they hooked me to them, and the heli came back and hooked onto us and pulled us out. And then, yeah, they just delivered us to the ground police, and from there they took us to the station in Lake Cowichan and processed me. And here I am now, and I'm still like feeling the adrenaline from all of this, and like all the cortisol, and just still pumping. But I climbed up high enough thinking that if I'm in this like dangerous situation, they wouldn't drop in, but they did drop in. And at that point I was actually scared for my life for a few moments there.
Yeah. Especially
once the heli was near, and 2 other big guys were anchoring onto this 2-3 inch diameter branch that was at the top, and it was like shaking back and forth. And so there was some moments there I was thinking maybe this is where I go.
And you fasted for how many days? At some point you said you were going to start fasting. Tell me why you made that decision, and how long it went for, and what that was like.
Well, what sparked the decision was, for me, being up there it was very spiritual for me. It was almost like a vision quest of sorts, and I felt very connected with nature and with the tree itself, and I felt this inner process inside myself. And then around day 4 I started getting sick from the food that we were eating, and it was all like packaged foods like ramen and easy cook hiking foods, and I mean they worked, but I was getting sick from them. My body was starting to reject it, and I just knew, okay, I think it'll be good. And I was also inspired by like Gandhi and people like that in the past who have fasted, and what a powerful thing it has been. So I was just inspired by that.
How was being up in the tree when there wasn't any action?
It showed me a side to the forest that I hadn't really been aware of, because usually when we're in the forest, or when I'm in the forest, I'm coming in, I'm walking, I'm observing, and then I'm leaving again, and I hadn't really like lived in the forest for no periods of time. And once I just was there, and living there, and like quiet and observing, I started seeing all the wildlife and all the animals, and like the chipmunks and the squirrels and the tree mice and the spiders, and there was hummingbirds flying around and coming to check me out. And just like waking up to that in the morning, to the dawn with like the mist and the sun shining in, it was absolutely beautiful. It was quite stunning. And cool. I felt privileged and honored to be able to be part of that. And I mean, part of it was like a sacrifice on my part to be up there for 9 days, but it was also like I gained so much from it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. and I would actually recommend it to people who are looking to, connect further with themselves and with nature. That's something that they could pursue.
At some point, you could hear fallers in there knocking trees down. Did that concern you at any point?
I wasn't too concerned for my safety, but it was very frustrating to witness it, and frustrating to see, like, actually witness the cutting of the trees and be able to see them fall from where I was sitting, and feeling like powerless to do anything. And then some of them would come and like jeer at us and taunt us, some of the loggers, but there was at least one guy who would come by every day and like talk. It was nice, and he talked nicely with us, and he like tried to persuade us to come down. And one day he brought me some beer, and he like left it by the foot of the tree. And I don't drink, but I gave it to my friends, some of my friends who do, and it was just a nice gesture of like human to human connection within all of this, like us versus them, and like the enemy, and it was just a nice touch of real human connection.
Do you have anything else you want to say to anybody who might consider going and sitting in a tree? I know you've said a lot that was wonderful about that already, but anything else you want to tell folks?
I'd say approach it as like you're giving something to the forest, but it's also giving something to you. And I would encourage everybody who does it, and I encourage everybody to do it if you can. But come just being open and receptive to the teachings that nature might have for you. And you just might learn something up there that could, affect the rest of your life in a very positive way.